can't believe this is happening. How are we going to afford this now?
Grandpa told me you lucky to have one friend. Situations in life coming, you gotta trust them. Found out many times in life you can't trust men. So I rolled solo, that process was an adjustment. Friends let you down, not around when you're needing them. Only here to take like a child, got you feeding them. Better off leaving them like salt, that's the seasoning. Killing black people, that sugar really depleting them. Knowledge over ignorance, rising above predicaments. Fighting for equality, speaking for all the innocents. These drugs they've been giving us, turning our people vigilant. Innocent dissidents, violence is coming imminent. Gotta fall a couple times to learn the lessons faster. Thinking will it matter if I skip a couple chapters? This life that I'm after got me climbing up the ladder. Won't be another rapper, bankrupt with the chapter. On another mission to get rich, it's big chips. Head past the crown on solid ground, the kid spits. On another level, these devils can't block the business. The kid get psycho with a rifle, get your wig split. Change the game passively in the back, so happily. Jersey. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Community Soldier Podcast. It's your host, me, Justin. Thankful for another day. Most High God has granted us another day of life, so it's another day to be thankful for it. You know, I just want to take the time out before we start this episode. I want to give a preface. First of all, the preface today is that Community Soldier Podcast, we don't have any political affiliations. We're not sponsored by any party. We don't care who you vote for. We just want to make sure that people have the most accurate information. That's all Community Soldier cares about. So we don't care who you vote for or how you vote. We just want to know what the people think, and we want to highlight what's going on across the country and show what's happening in our country. So with that being said, first let me start off with, we got an event coming up. Get into it. So I was looking at the way of, like, the economy right now, right? For those that know me, y'all know that I have a store, and I've been in retail business, over 10 years now. In the retail business and in liquidation retail specifically, I make my money off of a lot of times the returns. What's up, bro? Welcome to the podcast, my guy. Y'all know I make my money off of returns, so all of my economy comes from right here in the U.S., and it's determined basically how people shop. So I want to know what y'all think about the trends right now. Do y'all see the prices is going up, or is the prices going down? Is it get harder for you out here, or is it? Let me know what y'all think, man. Because I know when I go to the grocery store and I spend my money at the grocery store, I'm seeing, a few things that I normally buy are up, but not much. But I don't know. I buy the same things over and over again. But I did notice, like, chicken and beef is kind of high right now. Chicken and beef seem kind of high. You can get pork for cheap, but of course, everything bad for you, you know what I'm saying, you can get for cheap. So I don't judge off of that. But I got a video, man. I'm wondering, is people starting to regret their votes, man? That's the question.
This is for you, man. Look, I know you've got a lot on your plate, I know you have a lot to do and a lot to keep this country safe, and I appreciate that. But you made us a campaign promise. And I remember you said that every stop, I'm going to fix the economy and get prices more affordable. You ain't done none of that. Not even a little bit. Stores are price gouging us on tariffs, stuff that they're putting on tariffs or tariffs on, and guess what? They're made here in America. You call it like you're.
You hear what he's saying? Like, that was one of my first things that I was worried about because of the American that American dream, that capitalism that creates, everybody wants to be wealthy and everybody wants to be rich. And because of that, like one of the first lessons they teach you in the Bible, which a lot of people confuse, they say the love of money is the root of all evil. It's that love of money. And when people have that love of money over people, you'll start to see people do bad things for money, right? I know that because I used to be one of those people that would do bad things for money, right? So when you see they've created a way for companies now to price gouge us, and they're acting like it's just a tariff, but it's really not. See, prices, companies that have products that are made and sold right here in the US now are raising their prices because everybody else is raising their prices. It's just like what we see in the real estate game, right? In Jackson, apartment on First Street, Second Street, Biddle Street, one bedroom, right? Currently, right now is 850 to 900 a month. 850 to 900 a month for a one bedroom. When I first moved here, those same one bedroom apartments was like $400 and $500 a month. That was 20 years ago. So we see how the price has increased, right? A lot of times they haven't done anything to upkeep these units. What we see is just the landlords progressively over time, they just start raising the rent higher and higher and higher. And each time someone moves out, they raise the rent up. And what we're seeing now is landlords, right? They're matching the rent based upon what the average is of everybody else is paying, and not basically what the apartment is worth or what the home is worth, right? And we're seeing that this is a problem all over the country right now, even with people that are buying homes. People are buying homes and they're buying homes that are built with poor quality, crap quality. I'm going to show you. I watched videos all day yesterday with Americans that finally they build their dream and build their homes, and it turns out their quality is crap. But let's listen to what this guy's saying, man, real quick.
Agencies call it out, but nothing gets done. The stores aren't made to put the prices back. They're not made to fix anything. No, instead, what are they doing? Still charge us the same prices. In fact, they're raising prices even higher. And your administration is doing nothing to help that. Nothing. Not a thing. You have done absolutely nothing to help that. And I'm sorry, but like, we're struggling. Like, you're erasing the middle class. You know, you said, oh, the left, they're all about erasing the middle class. No, you are too, because you're doing the same exact thing. You're not doing anything to help us. I know you got a lot on your plate, but man, just take a day or 2 days and do something to turn around the economy in this country. People are struggling. People are losing their homes because they can't afford. They have to choose between making a car payment or putting food on their table. People are having to choose between paying their credit cards down or putting food on the table. Or they're having to max out their credit cards to pay bills because everything is so daggum expensive. Gas should be going down.
Welcome to poverty. See, all of the things that he's expressing, we people that have been in poverty these last years, we've been feeling that. We've been making those decisions. I talk to women on the daily as a case manager that been had to make those decisions, choosing on whether or not they're going to pay their consumer's bill or if they're going to take their kids and do something fun with their kids. I watched women that during the pandemic have to make choices during the pandemic when they got that check. This is the first time that they're getting this much money. So they're taking their kids to Disney World, Cedar Point, doing things that they never were able to do because they were in poverty. And when you live in poverty, everything is way more expensive because you're going to rent a center to get that couch. You're going to rent a center to get that washer and dryer, paying 3 times as much. You're going the right way, paying 29% interest. So now this man is finally feeling what the rest of us have been feeling all this time, and they can't deal with it.
drilling in America. Why is gas still over $2.89 a gallon? Why is things so damn expensive under you this time, but last time is so much cheaper? I know the Biden administration screwed up the economy and made inflation just skyrocket, but there are things that you can do to fix it, and you need to do it.
It's so
And see, that's not true. Inflation has actually gone down year after year. Actually, inflation has gone down, and that's what the administration, they take advantage of. They say that inflation has gone down. It has gone down in the last 20 years, but not because of what we think, and it's not influencing the prices. What really the inflation numbers actually show, if you really break down the inflation numbers over the last 20 years, it shows that the prices are still going up, but they're just going up at a slower rate. That's all it means, is that it's just going up at a slower rate. So what are you guys seeing? Are you seeing things being more expensive this year as you're going out? You're going buying your groceries, things like that. How are we preparing? Like, how are we preparing for the holiday season? We got Thanksgiving getting ready to come up. Well, Halloween first, Thanksgiving, and then we got Christmas, right? If they continue the way that they're going, right? Are our toys going to be more expensive this year? We got to be prepared for that. Is Thanksgiving going to cost us more this year? We have to be prepared for that, right? So let's just listen. I wanted you to hear one more person, man, because this is kind of funny, man, to me. This one was kind of funny
more
to
great
me.
content like this. Let's get to the rest of the video.
Watch this
So
one.
y'all, I live in Florida and I voted for Trump. And like, honestly, I never even thought about it. Like, everybody I know voted for Trump and like, I never thought about it, but I saw an interview with that astronaut on Fox News today. And I'm kind of freaking out because I have to get my insurance on that exchange, that Obamacare thing, because I'm self-employed and that's how I have to get my insurance. And every year I have to go into the like computer thing and get my insurance plan. And they're saying, I Googled it. Here, I'll show you. I Googled it, and here, up here, it says that in 2026, that's next year, my insurance premiums are going to go up 100%. I think that means it's double. So, like, if I'm paying $2,500 now, which is a lot, like, it's really tough, I'm going to be paying $5,000 starting in 2026. And it says that's what the whole shutdown is about. Like, that astronaut on Fox News said that that's the reason that there's a shutdown. I thought it was about illegal immigrants. Like, genuinely, isn't that what it's about? But that astronaut said that they're trying to stop the premiums from doubling. Can they actually do that? Like, this is weird, cause I'm not gonna be able to get insurance anymore. But I know, like, everybody keeps saying it's the illegal immigrants that the Democrats keep handing handouts. So can y'all explain it to me? Like, what is it? Is my insurance gonna double next year? That's crazy. But it can't be Trump's fault. So
Listen, the average person assumed that the Obamacare was just insurance for people that don't work, the Medicaid and stuff like that. But the Affordable Care Act actually created the marketplace where people can go online and buy and purchase your own insurance, but it was at an affordable rate because the government was actually subsidizing the rest of that payment. So without those subsidies, now you will have to be responsible for paying the rest of that payment, which makes all of your premiums go up. And for people that pay for their own insurance privately through their job, your premiums are actually going to go up as well because the Affordable Care Act made sure that jobs that provided insurance as well couldn't overcharge you. So now we're getting ready to see private insurances go up as well. So listen, one person already said it. Private insurances will go up substantially as well. You see? And I know this as well because I've paid for insurance for my whole family as well for many years, and I understand a little bit how it works. But it's funny to me that a lot of people across the country um, didn't really take their time to educate themselves on what was really going on. Because when you continue to listen to this woman, man, it gets worse.
I live in Texas and I'm pregnant with my third baby. And I am pro-life. I always have been.
Me too.
There is no
I
greater
am.
gift on this earth than a child. But I'm kind of freaking out right now. And I'm starting to regret the way I voted, the way I've been thinking. And honestly, I'm scared for my life. I'm older, so this is a high risk pregnancy. I had my first two babies. I did home delivery. I delivered them at home, and it was painful, but it was no problems at all. This one, I'm older, and it's high risk, so I had to go to a different doctor than I usually go, and she's all the way in town, so I have to drive 40 minutes in town to see her. So in this third trimester, things are getting a little bit tricky. And she said to me today, she said, you need to think, you need to start making plans to deliver this baby out of town. You need to spend the next few weeks out of state. I don't know anybody out of state. I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, well, you're very high risk. And we're monitoring this baby closely. But if the baby's heart rate slows down, if we think the baby's life is at risk, you could die. And she said the reason is because in this state, you're not allowed to operate on a woman who loses the baby. You have to go into labor naturally, and you have to deliver the baby. You have to go into labor and you have to deliver the baby. And if you have a dead baby in your uterus for that long, you could go into septic shock and die. And I was like, what on earth are you talking about? And she was like, well, it's all about abortion. And she told me that these late term abortions, I mean, I'm so embarrassed to
Watch
say
this.
this, but I
Watch this,
literally
y'all.
thought that babies were born and mothers were killing them. Doctors were killing the baby after it was born. I thought late term abortion was an abortion. You end the pregnancy because you don't want to have a baby, which is, but she said late term abortion is just a necessary procedure when you lose the baby inside the womb to protect the mother's life. I was like, what are you talking about? Then, of course, I call my husband, and he's at work.
Listen
And he's
to
like,
this.
that's dumb liberal doctor. Don't listen to her. We're staying here. Let's find a new doctor. Honestly, I don't know what to believe because for my entire life, okay, I'm 35. My entire life, I believe that late term abortion is somebody saying they don't want their baby. And that's not allowed in the state of Texas, obviously, because I vote for Trump, I vote for MAGA, I vote for Greg Abbott. But they're telling me it's actually something different. It's a life-saving procedure to save the mother when the baby has died in the womb. That's insane. That's not allowed? I have to make plans out of state? I don't know anybody outside the state of Texas at all. And I'm not going to have an abortion. Why can't I if my life is in danger, why can't I save myself? I have 2 kids at home. I'm freaking out. My blood pressure is through the roof. I have no idea what to do. Somebody who's from a different state or somebody who's a doctor, just please explain it to me because this cannot be real.
That is such a scary situation.
That's crazy, man. When you think about it, that's crazy. She didn't understand any of the things that she was passionate about. You know, I spent many times talking to people before all of this stuff happened. Trying to educate them. I would argue both sides actually because, I just like to do that. I argue both sides because I'm not a supporter of either way, but I just wanted to get people to understand what they were voting for, right? And it was so many people that I saw beforehand that were voting against their own interests. And I found that interesting to me that psychologically, a person could convince so many people to do that, you know? And it was because of lack of education. The very first clip that I showed you, the man said, we're drilling more than ever. How come gas isn't going down? And it's a funny thing that most Americans don't know that we can't use the oil that's made here in United States. Like it's not viable to use for gasoline. And we like to think that we're the greatest country in the world. We got everything. We don't need nobody else, but that's just not the truth. We need the Saudi oil because the Saudi oil is pure. It's way more pure. And you don't have to believe me. Like the science is out there. The science is out there. Like, you don't have to believe me. Look.
We're closing the border and we're drilling.
And you keep us moving towards energy independence.
Our country must cut back its reliance on foreign oil.
I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade. See, and beyond that, we're going to need it.
Based on how much politicians talk about oil and using the oil reserves, I always kind of thought the US was running out.
We've got about 35 years worth of oil left in the whole world.
But I couldn't be more wrong. In just the 10 years after 2008, the US went from a place with slowly dropping oil production to more than doubling its output and reclaiming its spot as the biggest oil producer in the world. But there's something peculiar. The US is sending away nearly a third of its oil just to get it swapped out with oil from somewhere else. This is the story of America's wild oil revolution and why it still won't give the US energy independence. This video is brought to you by Read, Write, Own, but more on that a little later. To understand America's relationship with oil, let's start with a quick crash course. So for most of the last 150 years, the US has been the place to get oil. We drilled almost all of it, and we also used the most oil in the world. But in the late 1930s, other countries, namely Saudi Arabia and a few other Middle Eastern countries, realized they also have tons of oil. So they started drilling like crazy. Around this time, the US starts importing a little bit of oil, but it still drills most of it itself. But America's ravenous demand for oil to fuel its planes, trains, and automobiles can't be contained. America's demand for oil starts significantly outpacing US production. So bring in the imports. Pretty quickly, the US becomes increasingly reliant on foreign oil. But then in 1973, after the US gave money to Israel, Saudi Arabia's enemy in the Yom Kippur War, they and other Arabian oil exporters were like, actually no more oil for you, and imports slide. The US doesn't have enough oil to make up for this loss, so there's just no oil for consumers.
Gasoline stations ran dry.
Empty gas pumps.
We're here ain't talking about the real science, man. There's a real science to the quality of oil that is produced here.
As of 2023, the U.S. was #1 in the whole world for oil production. Quite impressive. On average, the country extracts around 19.4 million barrels a day. In second and third places in the rankings, with a noticeable gap, are Saudi Arabia and Russia. Their figures are around 11 million barrels a day, which is almost half of what the U.S. produces. But at the same time, the USA is in second place among the key oil importers. That is, they actively buy it. Only China buys more crude oil, around 10 million barrels a day, while the USA's number is about 6 million barrels a day. Canada, Mexico, Guyana, and again Saudi Arabia supply oil to the US daily. In fact, there's a pretty long list, give or take 15 countries, and there's nothing unusual about it. It's a big country that doesn't have enough oil of its own and has to buy it from others. After all, the USA is the biggest oil consumer in the world. In 2019, the country consumed about 21 million barrels a day. That's 20% of the global total. 21% for one country. But what if I told you that at the same time, the USA sells a huge amount of oil that it extracts on its own land? Moreover, the USA is among the top 4 largest oil exporters, meaning they sell a lot of crude oil. The country ranks 4th after Saudi Arabia, Russia, and Iraq, and sells about 3.6 million barrels of oil each day. And this already seems strange. Why sell oil if you don't have enough and end up having to buy it later? What's up with that? The truth is, the U.S. simply can't use its own oil, and I won't make sense of it without a cup of coffee.
We can't use our own oil. They don't teach you that. See,
just an unobtrusive reminder to hit the like button if you do that sort of thing. In 2022, when oil and gas prices in the U.S. began to soar, many people saw a straightforward and apparently obvious solution to the issue. The U.S. has roughly 38.2 billion barrels of known oil reserves underground that remain untapped. Judge for yourself. Almost 14 million acres on land and over 9.1 million acres at sea are currently leased but not used for oil extraction. So why not just extract all that oil? Prices would go down right away and everyone would be thrilled. However, even though this thought might seem really smart, many experts back then said it was just a fantasy. For the U.S. to start fully exploiting and using its own oil, that's just impossible. Moreover, a weird paradox has come up. Even if the U.S. were to extract all its oil, the price of fuel wouldn't change at all. Why? For the same reason that the U.S. can't use its own oil, they can only sell it. A few years back, the U.S. set a record for domestic oil production, and it's just kept growing since. In 2018, for example, the country's oil trade balance was the best it's been in the past 50 years. Moreover, the U.S. already produces enough oil to meet their needs. So in 2020, the U.S. was producing 18.4 million barrels of oil per day and consuming 18.12 million barrels. So there could have been some left over for the future. But how does such a huge import fit into this scenario?
This is why.
To get to the bottom of it, you need to grasp one very important thing. While oil is a major commodity traded globally, nearly no one uses it directly. Oil needs to be processed into fuels, materials, and products that we rely on every day. Just a barrel of oil isn't much use to anyone. However, its physical characteristics, like where the oil is extracted, where the refineries or production facilities are located, or where the highest consumer demand is, affect its usefulness and therefore its value. Yes, oil also comes in different types. Types of oil differ in density, sulfur content, viscosity, presence of impurities, and all that sort of thing. Depending on what exactly you want to produce, you need a certain type of oil with specific characteristics. Based on these characteristics, people decide what to do with the oil they've extracted. But if you really want to put it simply, you can roughly divide oil into light and heavy types. The type of light crude oil that most people are familiar with is less dense than water. It flows easily at room temperature. Heavy oil and bitumen are also forms of crude oil, but they're more viscous and dense. All these differences in oil chemistry mean that you can't purify all oil the same way. The purifying processes look different depending on the type. We've more or less figured out the oil situation, but let's go back to the U.S. and look at the conditions here. It just so happens that most of the infrastructure for oil extraction, as well as refining and transporting fuel, is located in the regions in the middle of the continent and along the Gulf of Mexico coast. By the way, this is the reason why the 5 states where fuel prices are the lowest are the same ones where most of the infrastructure is located. These are Mississippi, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Alabama, and of course Texas. Believe it or not, oil pipelines have been around since the 1860s. Back then, of course, pipes were out of the question. Wagons and flatboats were the most common means of transporting barrels of oil, but the industry needed something better. In 1862, a more modern pipeline was built, which looked, well, nothing like what we have now. 2 wooden planks joined in the shape of a V. This pipeline carried oil about 1,000 feet using simple gravity. However, by 1863, an actual iron pipeline was laid in Pennsylvania, stretching 2.5 miles and equipped with pumps. And after that, there was no stopping it. Even today, many states with high demand for motor fuel don't have such modern infrastructure. Instead, they get fuel through shipping, railroads, and trucks. In other words, any way they can, but not through pipelines. But of course, most of the raw oil in the U.S., which is transported over long distances, goes through pipelines. In 2014, there were almost 160,000 miles of interstate pipelines in the United States, and still, they don't reach everywhere. For example, let's take California, a state with the highest population. There are more people here than in the 21 least populous states combined. Pretty clear comparison, right? Even with its population, California is practically an oil island. It has no pipelines linking it to other crude oil producers.
See, we're starting to see a trend on why we can't do a lot of things here and why we can't produce a lot of things here. We just simply don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure. But he's also going to get to a key reason why we can't use American-produced oil to run our gas here in our country. And it's a big infrastructure problem that we have. We haven't updated our factories. We haven't updated our industry in hundreds of years.
In refining regions, in addition to its own oil, which isn't very much, California imports roughly 70% of its crude from abroad. The portion coming from other states is very minimal. Why did this happen? Well, actually, it's very complicated. Let's just say it's about geography and political decisions at the state level. It's likely that California will never be connected to the main oil pipeline of the United States, simply because the cost of such a project would be very high. And there's no certainty that oil will be needed. After all, this is California. The state's in the process of transitioning from internal combustion engines to electric vehicles. What's the point of oil? But let's get back to the main question. Why doesn't the U.S. use the oil it drills? It turns out it's actually quite simple. The country has reserves of light oil, but it needs heavy oil. Turning heavy oil into high-quality products needs more advanced molecular processing. That's why heavy oil is generally valued lower than light oil. It costs a lot to make it useful. For instance, a few years back, the average price for heavy oil was $54 per barrel, while for light oil it was just over $70 per barrel. However, many American oil refineries are generally set up to process heavy crude oil. This is because a long time ago, the U.S. built its industry to handle just heavy oil. Back then, it helped to expand resources and supply potential. The refineries were literally designed to process oil coming from Mexico and Venezuela, and a large portion of it, usually relatively heavy and with a relatively high sulfur content, but the country's own oil is actually light. So how about modernizing the refineries? Well, no. As of January 1st, 2024, there were 132 active oil refineries in the USA. Modifications to individual refineries cost between $50 and $100 million, and a complete overhaul of the entire plant can cost several billion dollars. In short,
several $billion. That's why we don't produce like gas here for our cars here, because if we were to use the oil that's produced in America, we would have to refit all of our factories, all of our plants, all of our oil digging, all of our purification processes to process the type of oil that we get in America. So when they were telling you that we just need to drill more, that will not affect our gas prices here, because the oil that we make here, we don't have the ability to turn it into gas for our cars. That's just a simple equation. So when the first guy was complaining about the gas prices and not understanding that we can't use the gas that we produce here. Like we can't, like not at all. I got one more for y'all, man. That's funny, man.
Who you were or what you did in the past. All you could do is change what you do moving forward. And back then, I was very much rooted in my Catholicism and my Christian faith. Having been a teen mom, I did everything in my power to repent and to, be a good Christian mom and make sure my kids were raised in the church. I helped with Bible school. The Sunday school, I helped with the teen programs. I ran youth retreats. I did it all. I was very, very focused on my faith. And, the way of the church was, that Republicans, right, the conservatives, they believe in, they're pro-life, and you got to respect that, and you got to follow the way that Jesus lived, right? And so I went along and did what I thought I was supposed to do, and then I went into school to be a social worker, and this was right after the election, and boy, did I have my world blown up. I learned so much that I never knew. Because, going back to that childhood teen pregnancy thing, right? I was like, well, if I didn't have an abortion, why, what other people? I was a teen parent, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe because both me and my husband stayed together, first of all, because we could. But beyond that, we also both had families that were insanely supportive of us, that helped us financially, that helped take care of our kid. They did everything. Without them, we would have never been able to do it. And in the end of the day, that's besides the point. But I'm just saying, at that point in my life, that's where that mentality was, right? And so after spending years deconstructing everything that I had thought I believed, because at the end of the day, if you truly love Jesus and you truly follow his teachings, then you're actually more socialist. Socialism really is more of Jesus's vibe. And at the end of the day, yes, I do believe we need to feed the poor, and that everybody deserves a home, and that our veterans deserve to be taken care of, and that mental health matters, and we need gun reform, and no child should ever be afraid to go to school or have to watch one of their friends die. Nobody, legal or illegal, here deserves to be ripped out of their car, out of their home, taken from a courthouse, from their job, and being treated like animals. It is ridiculous. And if you as a Christian could sit back and say, oh, but Jesus, no, Jesus would be flipping tables.
So if there were a bailout, right, which the president is apparently considering, what would that mean?
Well, the stopgap needs to come because they've kind of painted the farmer in a corner. I mean, I want trade, not aid. I need a market. I need a place to sell this stuff. I can work hard enough and make a product. If you give me some place to sell it, I'll take care of myself.
Yeah.
But they've painted us in a corner with this China deal and China buying no soybeans. I mean,
what I tell y'all about that? I told y'all about this months ago. I told y'all about China and the soybean problem. This is going to be a major problem for our American farmers. We are already seeing farmers are becoming bankrupt because that was a $40 billion industry that they don't have no more. Because China, like one thing about Chinese people and the Chinese culture, they're big on respect, man. I've been a salesman and I've been a businessman for many years. So I've worked sales for some of the top countries across the country, and I've always been in top sales everywhere that I went. Everywhere that I went. And one thing I learned about the Japanese culture and the Chinese culture when you're doing business with them. In the Chinese culture, they don't do any business on the first meeting. Like that's just not part of their culture to do that. So if you are fortunate to go to China ever and go deal with them in any type of business, don't rush your business transaction. They rather get to know the person, the buyer first or the seller before they talk money, because they want to judge your intentions. They want to see if you're a true person, if you're a good person, and they want to measure more than just your ability to pay. So for people in China to talk business to them directly is disrespectful, right? And I had to learn that in other cultures, like there are other cultural things that we have to understand when you're dealing business with them. So when I saw the whole beef with the tariffs and how that was going on, and then I saw how my own personal relationships with suppliers in China was changing. Like it was changing. They were talking to me more harsh and like, not sending me as many deals as they used to. And I started to understand like, okay, they really upset about the tariffs and things like that. And if they feel that they are disrespected, they're not going to shop with us anymore. And I know that a lot of people think that that's not important. It don't matter. We number one, but they have billions and billions of people, right? And because they have billions and billions of people, they buy a lot of their products from other countries. And they were one of our number one buyers. So now you take away our number one buyer, now we have all of this product with no one to sell it to. And then on top of that, our own people here in this country can't afford to buy our products. They can't afford to buy our products. So now we're stuck in like this catch-22. And I'm curious to see how it's going to turn, because are we going to see things become cheaper here? Or are we going to see things become more expensive here? And that's the question that we really haven't got to.
For a market in half. I mean, if you take the 4 years prior to Trump's first tariff war, the average price of a bushel of soybeans is $12.54. The average price for the 4 years during Trump's first tariff war is $9.39. That's $163 an acre swing to the minus. The next 4 years after the tariff war, the average price is $13.59. That's a $218 upswing. Now we're back to $10.21. I think the board is today. My local elevator's $9.79. So I'm at $172 an acre loss. I mean, the farmer can't continue to produce a crop below the cost of production, and that's where we're at. And we don't have anywhere to sell it. We're in a tariff war with China. We're in a tariff war with everybody else. I mean, where do they want me to market this stuff?
All of my friends and family on Facebook are MAGA. I used to be, but I woke up. I cannot break through to get them to see clearly, and they think that I am so wrong. Yesterday, I posted this. If you aren't aware, we are currently in a government shutdown, and Trump has declared war on our own citizens, sending our own troops to major cities. hoping so bad that our military remembers their oath to the Constitution, not to a wannabe dictator president with unchecked power. He should be charged with treason. This is serious. Please wake up to what is happening. He's starting a civil war, not making our cities safe again. And
nobody cares about that. I can already tell you right now, none of her people are gonna care about that, because even when I mentioned that to everyone here, the major pushback I have from many people were, well, those cities are happier because of it now. But I just don't see how they can be happier with having the military patrolling their neighborhoods like that in a show of force. As a former serviceman, I couldn't imagine being called to guard Detroit. Like, that just wouldn't make no sense to me at all. And then you see videos online of soldiers sweeping lawns and doing all of this crazy stuff. Go look it up, man.
These are just some of the responses that I got from my MAGA friends and family. If I didn't get laughing emojis. Okay, so this is one response that I got. Have you watched videos from citizens in those areas where the National Guard is called in to clean house on the criminals? They're so happy. Literally, only criminals are being targeted. Law-abiding citizens have zero to worry about. All the things you're saying sound like leftist fear-mongering talking points, to be honest. I have followed politics closely for over 30 years. I have seen the government shut down over a budget impasse several times. They always figure it out. This is nothing new. And then she posted like a bunch of videos of people supposedly being so grateful that the troops are sent to their cities. And I'm like, you are manipulated. Then this friend, she saw my post and then she sent this text to her military friend and then screenshotted what her military friend sent back to her and then sent it to me. And this was what she asked her military friend. She said, do you have any idea what she's talking about with Trump supposedly sending troops to our major cities? And this military friend said, I'd rather the National Guard be in the streets than the rioters and looters, cartels, etc. That's the side of the news they don't share. It's totally legal for the president to call up the Guard when necessary, like in Utah during the protests or in DC a few years ago, LA recently, etc. That kind of talk is just not informed. I'm sorry, but whoever that is needs to stop spreading that kind of fear until they actually know the whole picture and not just what news outlets and social media.
That ICE is about to show up at her job, so we went from about 40 employees to about 10 or 12 left today. There's about 4 or 5 real ones left that couldn't afford to miss work. They're just risking it. I told them to be looking for my navigator if the ICE shows up, because I'll be picking him up. I might be a redneck, I might be Republican, but I'm all about my Mexican people. I'm a Texan, man. If you believe in the Bible, if you read the Bible, you would know immigration, they had to do it then. It's all right, man. People just looking for better lives, man. You can't hate on that.
Yeah, and I had to end this video off on a positive.
Man, all over, man.
2 weeks. I'm done. You want to talk about regretting your vote?
I never thought I'd say that, but I regret my vote. I voted for Trump.
I voted for Trump, and I regret it now.
As a Hispanic, I voted for Donald J. Trump. Dude, I regret it so much, man.
I am regretting my vote for Donald Trump.
I voted for Donald Trump, and now I regret it.
A lot of people who were like me voted for Trump and have to account for that.
I regret voting for Trump.
So deeply regret my vote for Donald Trump.
I regret voting for Trump.
I was a dumbass, voted for Trump. It was the worst decision I ever made.
I've seen the light, and I got out of MAGA. A lot of us there have seen the light. We have deep regrets.
I feel guilty because I voted for Trump twice. I feel very guilty because I feel responsible. That's why he's still running.
I was with Trump for 9 straight years. I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Trump right now.
I was wondering why so many people.
In 2 weeks, I'm done. You want to talk about regretting your vote?
I posted the MAGA hat as a joke to be, I wanted to see what people was gonna say, honestly, but I did it for the engagement, really. But to see the responses that was on there was hilarious. I mean, I had so much fun laughing at those responses. But it's also funny to me, the psychology behind people, because I remember back when they were running for office, even some of the same people that are commenting, they were so for it, or they were so quiet. And many people either didn't vote or didn't do nothing. And now you're seeing what we're seeing now, and now everybody's so vocally against it. Like, I think that is hilarious to me. Because I seen Jackson County stats. Most of y'all voted that way. So I thought it was funny that when I posted the hat, I was like going crazy. But that's neither here nor there. Right, we're gonna take a quick commercial. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. But when I come back, I'm gonna show you guys how to source products for your business. Like how you can find products for your business, how you can find different hustle ideas using this wonderful internet tool called Google. So stay with me. We're going to be right back, guys.
Grandpa told me you lucky to have one friend. Situations in life coming, you gotta trust them. Found out many times in life you can't trust men. So I rolled solo, that process was an adjustment. Friends let you down, not around when you're needing them. Only here to take like a child, got you feeding them. Better off leaving them like salt, that's the seasoning. Killing black people, that sugar really depleting them. Knowledge over ignorance, rising above predicaments. Fighting for equality, speaking for all the innocents. These drugs they've been giving us, turning our people vigilant. Innocent dissidents, violence is coming imminent. Gotta fall a couple times to learn the lessons faster. Thinking will it matter if I skip a couple chapters? This life that I'm after got me climbing up the ladder. Won't be another rapper, bankrupt with the chapter. On another mission to get rich, it's big chips. Head past the crown on solid ground, the kid spits. On another level, these devils can't block the business. The kid get psycho with a rifle, get your wig split. Change the game passively in the back, so happily. Jersey.
All right, y'all. Good morning. We back. So I told y'all we're going to take some time this morning, and I'm going to show you guys how I use this wonderful tool called Google to source products, to source suppliers, and how I find suppliers here locally, and the benefits of sourcing local products versus sourcing them in China somewhere, and how to source products in China if you needed to do so. Because a lot of times as an entrepreneur, I found out that a lot of products that I can get, sometimes I was being overcharged for those products, and I would have to find other ways to get those, other avenues, other places to get them from. And sometimes you just can't always get what you need locally. Like, that was one of the biggest problems that I had as a candle maker, right? I was able to get all of my candle supplies right here in the United States, and I'm going to show you how I did that. So first of all, whenever you're getting on your Google, right, you want to try to think about being descriptive as possible. So if I'm looking for local suppliers, right, I'm going to put suppliers in the USA, right? For wholesale, let's say I'm looking for wholesale hair products, right? And I want to start a company, I want to start a business where I'm buying low-cost hair products and I'm reselling, right? So I get on. First, of course, they're going to give you the sponsored post, right? But sometimes I teach people you have to look past the sponsored posts, because the sponsored posts they're just what they are. They're businesses that are paying to have their search come up first. So I'm going to skip past all of the sponsored posts because I know I don't want those at all. And I'm going to start coming down and start reading some of these descriptions. This says salon centric, premier wholesale salon and beauty supply. Their site is checkmarked green, meaning that it's a safe site. So I know that I can come on and access this site. When I access this site, this is what I see. Right? I'm going to blow this up for y'all. So a lot of suppliers don't show their prices straight up. And that's because prices change, right? Things change all the time. So, and it takes too much to update a website a lot of the times. So a lot of times when you go to these places like that, they're going to want you to sign up. But before I do that, I always want to try to get through the website as much as possible, see what kind of stuff that they offer before I waste my time in signing up. I want to see what kind of, if they give me any kind of indication of they got stores, places where I can go look now. And yes, they do. They have places in Jackson actually where they have their products. So this could be a good company that I could check out, but it also might not be affordable for me as an entrepreneur right now. So I think about those things too. I want to be able to get the best bang for my buck, right? So I'm going to keep going down. I'm going to keep looking. And as you can see, I found another site right now. And look, so here we got something that's actually showing you their prices. And now I can look as an entrepreneur, right? Well, they're not still showing me prices. I have to log in or register to show their prices. But I can see that this might be worth it for me to register because they have kits under $75. So now that would give me an opportunity to buy something like that. I'm gonna show you one of my favorite wholesale sites around. And I usually don't do this, but we share everything here. We don't mind. So this is Wholesale Ninja. Wholesale Ninja is a great site because it allows you, I don't even remember my password and not on here, but it allows you to source products and you can source them cheap. Like this is big in the retail game. For people that want to start an online business or online store, this is one of the first places that I send people because this one breaks it down for you the easiest, and then you can see what you're getting, the best bang for your buck. They have all types of deals for you. And this even is good for single parents, moms, dads. You want to save some money? Come check out some of these lots that they have available. I mean, look at this right here. You got Target clothing, new with tags. And I'm going to show you how you dissect this and you break it down to make sense for you. Target lot, new with tags. You see the price here. It will change depending on how many you purchase, right? So at this rate, if you purchase 100 of them, and you don't get to choose, they just pick you 100 random lots, and you see 100 pieces is $233, which means you get them at $234 a unit. So at that price, I tell people, like, if you have big families, right? If you have big families, man, we could chip in a couple of people and we can buy these boxes and then we exchange. Whatever we don't use, we sell back and we purchase more boxes. But at the end of the day, you're getting clothes for $2.34. Or a person that wants to hustle and you want to be an entrepreneur just like I am. Let's say you want to start off with just cosmetics, right? You can choose a cosmetic lot. $1.87 a piece per unit. And this is cosmetic that's never been used. It's perfectly sellable and usable. And if you want an example of, like, they usually have example pictures of like basic what type of stuff you're gonna get in, but it's not guaranteed. It's always a mix. But with any retailer, with any supplier, the more you get, the better deal you're gonna get. So as you see, when you go to 1,000, your pieces come down to $1.64 a piece. So that's what allows you to make more money as a hustler, an entrepreneur, right? And there's all types of lots available. So that's something that you should check out, man. You guys, if you really want to step your game up into the entrepreneurship, learn how to source products online, learn how to use the Google, right? Using the Google to find products right here that you can buy right here, right now. But I showed you guys like some of the suppliers here, but let me show you the difference of when you're sourcing in China and how this can be beneficial to you, right? We showed you all that. So let me share this screen for you. So the reason why I started sourcing in China is because a lot of products that I was trying to find here in America, I just wasn't able to get at a great price, right? But in China, it's just not that way. I mean, apparel, you're going to be able to get great apparel at good prices, and you don't even have to worry about a lot of the tax, a lot of the, gatekeeping that we do in America. A lot of times we don't want to, give people the best deal. So sometimes you got to go source it from somewhere else. Like you look at here, women's yoga jacket. Say I wanted to sell a product like this, right? So how I shop with foreign markets, for one, is you have to do your research just like everybody else. I don't just buy from the first person that I see on here. I gotta search around. I gotta search this company. The seller is Defined Econ Logistics. I can see the shipping right now. If I want it, estimated delivery is November 22 to 22nd, December. $15 shipping, basically $68 shipping for fast shipping. Jesus. So definitely you're gonna wait, but shipping has gone up, man. But you got to do your homework. And what I mean by do your homework and your research, that means you got to go and look at the seller. Look at what other people have said. You can see real pictures from people that have bought it. And you can see these is nice, nice little yoga jackets. She sees what it looks like, the presentation. Look like she got a store somewhere. She's selling them in her store. So you can see the quality before you even purchase. And you can look at what most people are saying and see, okay, this is in the USA. Yeah, a lot of USA people buying them. So this is a seller that I probably would trust, right? Because they're showing that they got good product. They do good business. It's not a scam. Let me show you this. You see how this says Garment Factory? So all of our clothes that we buy in America, they're made in China. Just look at your tags, right? They're made in China. Even our iPhones, our Jordans, all of those things are made in China. So the actual factories that produce those clothes, they will a lot of times create their own online marketplaces. So not only will they make clothes for our American companies, they'll actually make those same clothes and sell them in their own markets. And that's where you see these garment markets right here. This is a great person to buy from, and I know that because of their rating. Look, it says 98% positive feedback, over 31,789 transactions. So their on-time delivery rate is above average, dispute rate is above average, repurchase rate is below average. So some of the quality might not be there, but people are actually happy with their purchases. And any disputes, he solves them quick. So it says we provide a variety of high quality men's clothing such as jeans, all of that good stuff. And you go, you look, you find your product. You see, when I first came home, I made a lot of money selling fidget spinners because it's just the dumbest random things that you would never understand, like that will end up making you money as an entrepreneur. Like I tell people that all the time. Just something like this, right? We were able to take a product like this and get random sealed with box. You can buy 600 of them for $1,000. Me, I would find a smaller one. I wouldn't want to spend that much with a supplier like that. I wouldn't want to share that much. And let me show you when you search too. One of the best ways to search, when you filter your search, you put what you want in there and then go by customer reviews. Sort by customer reviews. If you do that, a lot of times you'll find the better suppliers, right? And then they'll also show you at the bottom how many you have to order to get that price. Like at $1.49 a piece, you got to order 100 pieces. So I know that's $150. But for $150, I'm gonna get 100 of these that I can sell at $5 a piece, make $500 off your 150. Right? That's how we think as entrepreneurs. But when you're sourcing products in China, the main thing is just to be careful. It's just to be careful. That's the whole thing. You have to buy from people that you know that are reputable. But there's all types of items. I was telling a brother here the other day, man. Socks, man. Socks. People sleep on socks, man. I don't know why hustlers sleep on socks, man. This is probably something that I should be giving it to my subscribers only, man, because this is the type of stuff that I give to my subscribers, like different hustle for a living ideas. But there's a lot of money in socks, character footwear, all different types of stuff, and you just got to find your niche, man. Just find your niche, man. Underwear for men, right? Underwear for men is expensive, and for women, right? Hustle for a living, guys, man. I'm giving y'all free jewels, man. Nowhere else will you get free game like this, man. Nowhere else will you get free game like this. So take this game and go run with it. Go run with it. You see what I'm saying? Because you ain't going to get no deals like this nowhere else. And you ain't going to see no business ideas like this nowhere else. Right? So that's all I got for y'all today, man. I hope y'all get something from this podcast today. I done showed y'all a couple spots where y'all can go hustle and you can go get some real good money. So if you're just now tapping in, rewind it a little bit and you're going to see a nice little hustle for a living tip. But till next time, we'll see y'all later, man. I'm about to get out here and get to work.
Grandpa told me you lucky to have one friend. Situations in life coming, you gotta trust them. Found out many times in life you can't trust men. So I rolled solo, that process was an adjustment. Friends let you down, not around when you're needing them. Only here to take like a child.